Yeah, good afternoon and welcome to this session with Ralf Wendt and Jasmina Al-Qaisi. Just a brief introduction to this event. I mean, it's been billed as an event that will talk a bit about mobile radio as a tool, and increasingly these days when citizens are having difficulties communicating within the existing parameters, one is always looking for alternatives and parallel modes of communication, so we can listen to them talk about their ideas on what is mobile radio. A quick introduction to the two of them. Ralf Wendt has been a radio artist, I would say a radio activist as well, associated for a long time with the free radio movement in Germany, one of the co-founders of Radio Korax in Halle, Germany. And that particular station has been very significant in the German free radio movement, what we call community radio, they call it free radio. About 3 years ago, Ralf was also one of the main curators of an incredible month-long radio art festival hosted by the city of Halle. And I spent some time during that festival there, and the whole city was buzzing with activities connected to radio art, galleries, museums, public spaces, radio stations, and so on. So Ralf has been here before. 2017 at the HLF, and did something similar, but what they are doing now is also significantly very different. With another colleague of his, he had come in 2017, not a stranger to Hyderabad. Welcome, Ralf. And this year we also have Jasmina, and she's described as a visual ethnographer, cultural correspondent. She's an artist, works with poetry, image, sound, lives in Berlin, which all of us think is the happening place for art and alternative culture movements these days. Jasmina founded and runs something called Savvy Contemporary.
I'm one of the members of the collective.
As a collective, right?
Yes.
Savvy Contemporary as a collective. Yeah, so they have been here for the last 3 weeks now in Hyderabad, working with students of University of Hyderabad, the communication and media students, workshopping with them about radio, experimental radio, I would say, doing a lot of productions with them, but also independently. Ralf and Jasmina have been traveling in a number of villages around Hyderabad, doing some interesting recordings, talking to people about storytelling, about literature, song, and so on. So they'll share some of that. So welcome Jasmina to Hyderabad and to HLF. Yeah. So with that brief introduction, let me get quickly into what you're doing here. Radio Mischpoke. What exactly is that? I mean, what is Radio Mischpoke? What does it mean? And what have you been doing during this festival and also during this stay in Hyderabad?
Thank you, Vinod. It's really a pleasure. It's all a pleasure to be here and to experience the festival, but more than that, to experience the possibilities of this festival, actually, which are very present in the audience and with the participants. What we did and what we are still doing in this moment as we speak, we were broadcasting for 5 hours, and we are still going to do that until 5 today. And we invited people from the audience and from the participants to speak in the radio, to have the experience of a live radio situation, which is a very particular live radio situation because it is completely free and it is sent to a community radio in the University of Hyderabad. So we worked together with about 10, 11 students from the communication department, and we created this radio situation which is expanding the discussions that this festival is based on. So on one hand, you could have a person who just had a stage talk would come and briefly introduce themselves and say something more or read something from one of their books and so on. And on the other hand, the microphone is also open for someone who just told a story in a workshop and it's their first time over the radio. So it's their first time over the radio, maybe it's also the first time that someone is moderating this discussion because the students didn't have this experience before. So as I was simply saying to everybody, we are like a stomach of a radio. We are just the body of the radio that you could see from outside. And there will be probably further questions on what exactly a mobile radio situation is.
And this was going live, right? Radio Mischpoke on a number of stations?
It's going live still. We broadcast in Pavarala, which is the campus radio here, but we also broadcast in different European radios, community radios. Not all of the time, it's like 15 hours to do like this for a radio is a big deal, but we anyways reach in 2 cities in Austria and 5 in Germany and 1 in Great Britain. Mischpoke, because you asked for it, and a lot of people asked, and even it's difficult to read also, Mischpoke. It's a very strange word. My family is based on this word. Mischpoke is an old Yiddish term, which means an Eastern European Jewish term for family, but family in a wider sense. That we just somehow recognize the festival itself. That people come together from different origins, but sharing the same discussions, same maybe aims or thoughts, or even enjoying that, being together. That's Mischpoke, and we like this to call it like this. Maybe it stays longer, who knows? But it's actually made for this festival and not as an additional community radio. And that's maybe also the bridge to what we can talk about. But more as an interventional moment, like seeing radio as a tool, and not so much as a distributor of the festival, which would be rich enough to do, of course, and we do also, but more or less to encourage people to raise their voices in a kind of huge audience. It's an amazing number of people listening to what's happening here right now. It's about, I just counted the listeners at this time on the free radios, it's around 40,000. People are listening to that right now, which is great. And right now was the 50th hour in our program, self-entitled Girls Talk. It popped up in the first day already that a visitor came up with an idea and wanted to discuss that. And then it was a big round, like 1 hour talk about menstruation and all issues combined with that. Yesterday was about a critical approach to what we call wellness, and today was about beauty.
Today was about beauty and the entitlement to speak about pleasure. And the girls were actually, we were quite a big number of girls, and they said to me, can we please invite some men? We want to diversify this discussion. This is not diverse enough. And that was a beautiful surprise, and these kind of surprises happened throughout this 2.5 days.
This beautiful man, by the way, spoke the first time publicly about the fact that he can't talk publicly to be bisexual, and he was very explicit about that, not explicit enough that we get trouble for the festival, but explicit in the sense that it was amazing that he could speak so open. I never heard that before in any way. So these things happen in a very fast changing scenario, which means more or less it's a title, it's a moment to entitle people to make radio, to use this tool to be heard. And this is a very small, sounds very small, but it's a big, big thing if we think about environments like we visit in the villages, for example.
Can you play something?
Yeah, maybe we can play.
Mischpoke?
We can. A bit closer, because it sounded like a mountain. I tried to play. I had some help. I can just play the, I can just do the sound.
Really long time, and we call it that particular name, just call it as a part of the art form. But when we see it as that performance, that itself is really completely strong enough to question the gender normative in this particular society. And now the current situation in India is that people don't know what is drag is. We can't identify this.
Okay, maybe just as an impression, and of course we know about the discussion, what does radio actually mean, who's listening to it. Of course, these talks will be uploaded as podcast offers also. So the next hour, if you would stay, it's nice to discuss that meaningful new development we are aware of too, but the nice thing about the live radio moment is of course that it's a very activating moment. Activating not in the sense of only consuming or being a part afterwards, but just stepping in an environment which is kind of free speech environment and collectively thinking about a content which gets to be published. And this is an amazing thing to notice. This is not only, I would call it a radical democratic approach to our society to create that, and it's very nice as this festival.
And at the same time, very empowering for people who didn't know that it's possible to express yourself in this way. Somehow, for me personally, radio enabled that possibility, also for recording myself and doing that. Just as having this possibility to know that you are being listened to, and you don't know exactly by whom, but it's a very momentary, very present, and very full of spirit form of expression, which can enable other forms of creativity outside of the radio situation.
I think the radio that they have set up here, that they just spoke of, really organically evolved. It wasn't like 100% curated radio. The programming wasn't decided ahead of time. They did have some recorded material from their own visits and from what students did, but what is amazing is the kind of things that were happening on location. They just mentioned that one came up and spoke about menstruation, somebody else wants to come and talk about issues around sexuality and so on. So I think the whole idea is the possibility of voice and possibility of being heard. Increasingly that seems to be the struggle for a lot of us, being able to have platforms where you can get heard. And so this seems to be one such platform that they have been able to create, and by linking it to other actual stations in Europe and here, you are reaching out to a large number of people.
It's also to add something which is important for us. We come from a country where everything is in order. So Germany is well known, actually Europe is well known for kind of controlling the processes, let's say. And even I know that very well from myself, which is not a nice thing actually. I'm very worried for my partner Jasmina if she has to deal with that. But what we try to do is also the approach of the audience here to this festival, which is a fantastic labyrinthic environment, and following the idea, people discover what they like to discover, and they join what they like to join. Of course, the organizers of the festival did a great work to combine things which are fitting and making the ways like, it's not a random labyrinth, but no labyrinth, build a labyrinth of this world is random. But this fantastic game of discovering issues and topics we wanted to reproduce in the radio, which is normally completely on time, minute, second, scheduled. And we destroyed the schedule via giving it to people. They come up with their things and they put it in there. Sometimes they have to wait 10 minutes because something's going on. It's a fantastic way of making things public because it's collectively made public and collectively decided what comes next or should we postpone that. It's a really nice thing.
I also thought it would be interesting to hear from you about your experiences in your travels into the villages. I mean, they spent about 4 or 5 days visiting like 7 different villages around Hyderabad, doing recording, spending time there. So what did you get from there, from these visits?
So that was a great experience, first of all, because we didn't have any specific agenda. We didn't want to have a specific way of collecting stories in an abrupt or, let's say, abusive way of just imposing what we think a story is. We were very open to question that, and also luckily we had this privilege and possibility to have people, students, friends with us who joined, who knew the local languages, who knew local people in this village, who kind of facilitated our slight, shy access to that. What we encountered was an answer to our question, what else is literature? A very spectacular answer, because people didn't care about the word literature. People reacted differently. One would react to something which we would call a story, another one would react to a question of what would you tell to the city people. Another one would react to just the fact that they would be in a festival. So they would sing or they would send us some kind of message, some kind of celebration. And our intention was also to bring in the festival some voices of people who wouldn't be able to make it or wouldn't even know that this exists, even though they are people in our surrounding. So for me personally, it was a fantastic experience, and also I felt all the time very reserved and shy, and I had so many stimulus because I'm coming also from, let's say I'm close to the rural area, and I have been growing up around farming and animals and so on. So it was sensational for me to experience stories about water, about food, about crops, in little translations, in between translations. Also, we were concentrated and focused more on the way people were speaking and their physical, let's say, physical embodiment of telling a story, which was not necessarily told to us, but to our friends, to the people, to the local people who would be able to speak the language. So we were just extra there somehow. But it is a fantastic place to also realize and be able to grasp more, let's say, on your privileges and on your wording on things, on the words we put on.
So was it very different from what you heard urban people say about literature? Say when on our campus you asked some people also about what literature meant to them?
Yeah, it was completely different. They had I would say the experience among the students was like to come up with something which is really important now, right now, for them, living here, on the campus maybe, in the middle of the protests, or in the middle of like having to defend their gender or their entrance to sexuality or whatever. So these texts were very well chosen and worked on. And with the same attention, I would say, with the same intensity also, people in the villages choose their topics, but maybe I go back to them. This couple, for example, used half an hour to tell a very difficult story how they had to move all the time through India for economical reasons. And it was only about having something to eat. And finally they got here in the village where they stood because it worked. And so it was all about that, and how about the children, and what they have to do, and how to think about the next generation and so on, and what does it really mean in the sense of time. So they talked a lot, and then finalizing, after a half an hour talk, was again this kind of wish, just what is the story really for them? They just thought, actually the story, I should make a book out of it. It's a story of my life, and that's what we noticed all the time. It's mostly, we had also longer sessions. It was a fantastic evening with a tailor in another village who shared nearly everything because it was about communication. And yesterday, a poet said here as an advice for the first, how to write the first poem. You don't have to come up with something artificial. Write about your life, write about your person, write about your wishes, your aims, and it will come up something nice. And that was, for us, a very touching, nice thing to notice and also to record. Because only this recording moment was already the transformation process of focusing their own story and bring it to somewhere else, to the festival. And even to the radio for people they didn't know. So they transformed that already. Maybe we won't call it literature, but it was a fantastic moment of storytelling. And that combined with fantastic, like here, meetings where people actually already choose possibility for themselves to spread their own stories. And this, actually the first community radio in India, Sangam Radio, women run a program, not mobile, but temporary, 2 hours a day. Exactly in this time where women could listen to the radio, because they're coming from fields, and they cooking, and they could listen to the program. And these 2 hours are made by fantastic women, by the way, coming all from lower caste, which is another amazing thing. If you would have the pleasure to meet these women, that's a multi-layered experience, which is fantastic to share. And this is really a radio in the middle of their environment, and the topics are around the field, like how to approach an ecological way of planting crops, what kind of problems are coming up with the families because of time schedules. They're gossiping once a week about their husbands. Wonderful. Run by a person which was as a child already a kind of general, and she still has this name. General, maybe you could listen to the moment just a second. Because we talked about literature there.
ఆ పాటలు రోజు ప్రసారం చేస్తుంటాం కదా, అన్ని ఫస్ట్ వచనాలు తెలుసు అన్నమాట. పాట స్టార్ట్ కాగానే ఫస్ట్ వచనం తెలుస్తుంది. ఎందుకంటే అనవసరంగా ఉంటాం కదా, ఏ పాట వింటున్నాము మనము అనేటప్పుడు నేను ఆ పాట చెప్పాలి కదా, ఇట్లాంటి పాట వస్తుందని. ఇప్పుడు ఉదాహరణకు పాత పంటల జాతర నడుస్తుంది. మెల్లా మెల్లా పాత పంట, సల్లాదనమే సజ్జ పంట, ఇట్లా ఆ పాట పెద్దగా ఉంటుంది. కాకపోతే నేనేం చెప్తా, ఇప్పుడు రేడియో వినేటోళ్ళ కంటే అందరు పాట కోసం ఎదురు చూస్తున్నారు కదా, ఏ పాట వినాలని అనుకుంటున్నారు. అయితే నేను ఒక వచనం పాడతా అని, మెల్లా మెల్లా పాత పంట, సల్లాదనమే సామ పంట, మెల్లా మెల్లా పాత పంట అని దాని గురించి, అంటే పాత పంట.
I have to invite you to listen to the whole talk. We have it here as a kind of audio station close to the radio situation. Oh, sorry. Close to the radio situation. So where you could listen to all these collected voices, also from someone
The general also shared with us a number of songs, which is also very nice because you cannot actually listen to this radio online. So that was a really beautiful moment that she decided to share with us, to bring here some of the songs. And once every 2 hours, let's say, we play one of their songs in Radio Mischpoke, and we speak, we remind of them. We decided to call it the sister radio because we got a lot of inspiration from that, and I personally already spread the inspiration among my girlfriends, how fantastic that is. Another interesting thing we did was to make a translation experiment, listening on air, on this, in the room to a song, and asking someone to directly translate it, to have a kind of an impression. And that was half-failed experiment, I must say, because they have a specific term, they have an accent, and not everybody could be able to translate that. But there's a lot of cotton in their songs.
Which means that these songs, this culture of singing is a culture of storytelling, as you know, of course. But so we could also bring the text of the songs into the festival, which is nice.
And just for some context, this woman that they played just now is General Narsama, who runs what is India's first community radio station, not too far from Hyderabad, about 100 kilometers in what used to be Medan district, Sangam Radio. It's in a village called Machnur in Telangana. So they visited there and recorded some ideas. I mean, General Narsama used to be like the poster child of India's community radio movement in the late 90s and early 2000s. So wherever we went, we would play her and say, don't you want to give a license to someone like her? Yeah, and it worked eventually. But Ralf, I mean, I know there's a lot of interesting material like this, but one question that some members of the audience may rightfully have about why radio? I mean, does radio still matter? I mean, this is, I know, a very fundamental question to somebody who's steeped in radio culture like you, but it's a reasonable question to ask for many young people here.
It's 2 layers, I would say. The one thing is, of course, we have all an imagination, maybe from childhood days. There's this radio, this ghostly voice, very warm and telling us the stories. It's a bit like lullaby. And we have this fantastic music, or these informations we need, and so on, this service and entertainment all around. And we could listen in the bed, we could listen in the car, we could listen in the kitchen, we could listen everywhere. So this is the one thing, run by big stations somewhere in mystical buildings with big antennas. And sometimes you could see the big cars through the cities to record a concert or something. And the other experience is, of course, what Vinod was already describing, this worldwide, starting in the 70s, worldwide existing movement of self-entitled mass media radio producers. And this is combined with another idea of making radio, of course. This is not combined with the idea of making podcasts, by the way. Podcast is a fantastic thing we could discuss later. I don't want to touch that for a moment. This kind of radio producing needs always to involve people in processes because it's needed. It has to be done. it was not intentionally, but because I like this radio close to Delhi very much, because they do that. It's not a mass media in this sense of a national broadcaster, for example, or public radio, and maybe also not like a successful private commercial radio, but this specific radio, also run by women, by the way, is making radio, service radio for migrants, for like workers from Bangladesh mostly, but also China, I forgot actually, but it was, and there's an amazing amount of people living in this new built-up star city, which have no rights, no insurance, no contacts to medicine, and so on and so on. And this radio is permanently broadcasting live service shows. They have contacts to every service, not only medical service, but also like insurance. They have contact to people who could help in legal matters and so on. And they are called, like every 2 minutes is another call, is another question, and there are 5 women or 4 women in there answering, making contacts, come up, we will solve your problem like this. This is amazing. And it's so popular among these people. Radio is a very cheap thing. We also have to mention that. It comes without any taxes. I mean, it could come without any taxes. You only have to buy a very cheap receiver, and that's it. It comes through the air. We don't need an internet, we don't need an abo system of something, a cable or whatever, a telephone which is running out of data. We just need this, we could put it. That's all the people do, and they use it. And I think this kind of radio as a tool brought up the question in this media landscape of this so-called third sector. Why radio? What does it mean? Who's talking to whom with which legitimation? So what is the aim? What is the reason? How much power could I put into that? What does it mean if I bring all my time in this non-commercial project? It means I want to say something, I want to change something. The basic law of communication. If we communicate, I want to change something in your mind, for example. Now, that's what people do who are running free radios, and that's why radio, it reached a lot of people. That was the model before. And that is the model in, for example, Ghana. It's called Radio Peace. It's just a room in a flat with a table they already had. They use it to spread information which are needed in this particular part of Accra. And they are very popular, also visited, because everybody can come with a problem and say, my roof is damaged. And they announce it and somebody will help. It's like the fountain in the middle of the village. People meet each other in these community radios to self-organize, to organize themselves. That is the thing, why radio, and beyond that, not organize themselves only, but also organize other people. This is a photo from Uganda. In the middle of the protests, the community radios play a big role, like almost everywhere in the world. These community radios are kind of a democratic, from my point of view, radical democratic tool to engage people, to make politics, even on streets, but also to, for example, to spread an experience that is very easy to lead politicians, because the radio is still relevant, even if some people don't. There was never a media dying. Never happened. And radio won't die because it's now. It's real, like art. I could talk hours about this because I'm so fascinated. Also Ghana, another tool moment, somebody is just in the stadium because they couldn't pay for the football. Nobody can pay for the football entry card. They can collect, and one goes, and he's live reporting. It's on YouTube. You can. It's fantastic for community radio. And these things, this public approach to topics is, making topics accessible to discuss is a nice thing.
I realized that Ralf was responding, it was a wrong question to ask Ralf to talk about the relevance of radio. I mean, I'm sure he can talk for hours about the relevance of radio. I think the basic point he was making was radio in its third sector form that he was talking about as free radio or as community radio outside of public and commercial radio. I mean, is the direction in which radio has a future. Is what he's been trying to say. With his experience of traveling and working with people in Africa, South America, and also in Europe. But very quickly, I mean, the two of you have free radios in Europe and in Germany, and you have some experience of community radios in India from your last visit and now. What's the difference in the approach you see? How do free radios in Europe or Latin America differ from the ones in India in the way they work or kind of issues they take up? By the way, in India, we have something like 250 licensed community radio stations today.
Sorry to answer again, but I'm with free radio scene for such a long time. Maybe it's because I really can compare. The first thing, it's no luxury thing in India. In Germany, I would say a lot of students just like to do it. They like to, even very politically, they like to do it to discuss things, but it's a luxury thing. They can do it, and because they have the money, they have the time to do. It's the same for France, it's the same for Great Britain. It's a very rich and very nice, colorful, free radio scene. But in India, I noticed for the first time, that's a real thing. It means everything what they do means something for a lot of other people. Everything, every minute, this is amazing. Maybe it's similar to some radios in Southern America. I had the impression that it worked like a bit similar there, but there's another movement because the amazing work also for this mass media radio, which, for example, Vinod and his colleagues did in the last 20 years, made a legal thing happen, which has an influence also, which is heard. For example, the campaign to participate in the elections. This is sometimes not the same thing in, let's say, Venezuela, where it's all about one village, maybe. But it's very different from Europe, from the rich Western world, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, my impression is also that they are a lot more political than in India. I mean, a lot more radical and political, at least some of the free radio stations that I have visited in Germany, but certainly in Latin America. In India, I mean, you are not allowed to do political programming on community radio. I mean, by law. That seems to be one thing that I observed.
I just want to comment one thing. I've been wondering also, and wondering at this, let's say, privilege of having the time to do that, and having the possibility to do that, and having the possibility to say what you would normally not say so loud. I have been reflecting at this since I came here. What is considered as political? Because we are just being is political. There are so many entanglements. So if we say that a political speech cannot be on radio, on community radio, you are saying very much everything. What is left? So what is left is actually just the interpretation.
I think it's an excellent point to make. I mean, what do you consider political? I mean, that woman you mentioned who came and shared her experiences with you at Mischpoke is being political, using this public space to talk about her personal experiences and so on, can be deeply political. But Indian community radio stations have to negotiate a lot to make sure they say the right things without attracting legal trouble. But maybe on that point, do you think we should see what the audience have to say, especially on your idea of mobile radio? So some of us are beginning to think it's something to do with the mobile phone. Yeah, I mean, can you lead us into that direction? To what do you mean by mobile radio?
So, two things before we are actually handing this over to the audience. Once I want to say that it's been a fantastic experience for me to work with the students, and if possible I would actually like to read their names, because it's resembled very much my experience with radio and my beginning, which is not so long ago. So Ralf actually has created a kind of a shortcut for me to be able to do that and to be able to organize that for other people. But other people organize that for me. And I could develop very much my speech because of that, and I'm very free now. And being here to experience these boundaries of being free is actually very engaging, and I'm really humble in facing that. But a mobile radio situation is actually a freeing situation. In a sense, for me, it's freeing of the fact that, for instance, I'm working with food and radio, or food and sound. So in a normal radio studio, you're not allowed to bring a sandwich and a coffee, and I'm actually asking people to chew in front of microphones. So a mobile radio situation for me is a freeing situation, where most of the times when we thought about that, and I was trying to catch up on these possibilities, because first of all you think about the technique. So as you said, it may be possible to think, okay, mobile could mean a mobile phone. Sometimes it means a mobile phone. We have done, together with another 5 or 6 people, under a bridge at midnight, we have broadcasted from Berlin to Tasmania, to Australia. And our topic was how to pack our bags to leave a place because of a certain coldness, which was Germany, and to leave to an imaginary limitless place, which was a privilege to think about. And we managed to deconstruct that together with these people with one phone and 2 speakers. That was it, and we created a fantastic, I would say I'm really happy about it, because if you listen to it, you cannot understand the limitations, if there were any limitations. You don't even think about that. It's just bringing, in an artistic way, actually, a very political thing, and at the same time a very aesthetical, amazing sound experience and experiment that is very rarely possible without studio, a lot of money, production, time, and so on. So
when you say mobile phone, you sometimes mean radio on the mobile phone, through mobile phone, but many times you don't mean that. I mean, it's about being on the move, making conversations happen at different places, and so on. Yeah?
It's technically very simple. It's creating a live stream with the fantastic microphones of the mobile phones we have. This is possible. It happened around 12 years ago by different community radios, by the way. It's now also used by public radios like BBC. But that's it for the technical environment, is creating a stream and having an FM radio which is broadcasting.
So before you move on, I wanna read the names of the students, if that's possible. Some of them are here in the room with us. Shruti Maitani, Ananya Barua, Teresa Reina John, P. Perti, Nimisha S. Pratep, Ananya Mokhapot Thiai, Elsri Rohit, Soumya Reddy, Vaishali Das, Parveda Chandra Kiran, and N.S. Nitish.
Yeah, these are all students who have been working with them. I think there are more who couldn't come in, right? More students outside. Thank you. Yeah, can we take some questions?
2 questions because we're
Comments.
running out of time. Just 2 questions. Anyone? Comments.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll ask one question. In the 3 weeks that you have been here and you have been interacting with people, what has been the most profound observation or comment that really meant some kind of a larger community reach? What was that one thing that one person could have said which actually was for the good of the larger community? Would you be able to recall and share with us?
I'm not sure if I'm getting this right, but if I would have to describe, let's say, the experience with everybody.
Suppose I am the person you have interviewed,
Yeah.
and I say something which actually has a message for the larger community, which was the most profound one. What was that?
Yeah, there was a very nice one from a girl who, unfortunately, because of her class and caste, she couldn't exceed the, let's say, the limitations of education, so she couldn't go forward, let's say, to study in the university. And her advice, she gave an advice, I asked for an advice, and her advice was, she said that we have to be very careful about our elderly, and we have to give a lot of care and attention and not forget about them. Which was quite impressive because she could have complained about her own position, but instead she wanted to send a message. We have to take care of our elderly. They are still important for us. Those.
Hello. Hello. Hi. My first, this is not a question, but what I feel is since we were focusing on the radio, it was disappointing not to listen to any of your recordings. I was really looking forward to that. If you could just tell me where I can listen to and how I can listen to. Second is little information based. I would require this Gurgaon Awam Sambuddha radio station. I would need some information on that if you would share. Thank you.
Of course, as the recordings is very easy. The recordings from the villages and from the students, it's available at this kind of audio station. You can listen all the time. It's just down here to the right. And all the talks, all the moments in the radio, we will also make present on the radio-mischpoke.net.
I'll write it down.
Yeah. And on Pavarala, you could listen also in the next weeks on air and online things of it. So almost everything we did here, the 15 hours, will be also here available as a podcast, which might be also good. And to the radio, maybe we can talk after.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Anyone from the students group would like to say something? Okay.
Hi Jasmina, I just want to ask you that you guys are into radio for a very long time, and it's time that we are starting to see that people are shifting from radio to videos, right? So what is it that is still stopping you from making this shift? Because we have seen a lot of podcasts being coming up on YouTube where people are recording themselves while they are at the radio stations. So what is that that's really stopping you from getting that?
Fantastic question, because it makes a difference. How people use media. The one thing is, I can even use my eyes to see other things while listening. That is the one thing very important for the radio usage. That's why from 6 to 8 is the prime time for radio, because people are in their kitchens and having breakfast or something. Or we use it in the car. But tatsächlich is the concentration of what I see, it's the first channel. Even if the signal is earlier in my brain through the ears, the first channel is my eyes, and it's the most important thing. What do I see with my eyes? I see these, there has to be some action in the picture. Talking heads, very boring for half an hour, but action, yeah. And then it becomes this strange picture of what is really said, what is the meaning of what is said and discussed. And I like very much that, for example, from these villages, it's my home village, from these villages only one picture, so we get an imagination of the person, but we listen to what they have to say. I think that is for me what makes it much more attractive than to combine that with video. Even knowing that that is also a nice thing of course to do, but that's another thing.
We'll take one last question.
Thank you. Is internet radio popular in Europe? If it is so popular, then what is happening to FM radio?
I can say whatever, maybe you can correct me. Actually, there is a lot of internet radio, but most of it is music. So maybe the difference that we are also talking about and also community radios are doing is not reproducing all the time the same music that, let's say, public radios are reproducing. So in my experience, internet radios are either just born out of a limitation, because to get an FM is a very complicated procedure because it is really well regulated, let's say. And the second is that it is born out of this, let's say, desire to share music, which is not a bad thing at all, but it is not the same critical approach to things, and it is just a creative, let's say, platform to display a combination of music and things like that.
It's actually, there was this question raised like in the 20s of the last century already. Could be every listener also be a broadcaster? What does it mean? I mean, what does it mean? Would you listen to me if I would be the broadcaster? Maybe if you are interested in that's a podcast thing. Like to know for which target group I'm doing something. Broadcast is not iPod, personalized, it's broad. So I make it for a lot of people. And if, for example, in public radios, even in India, even if it's called national radio, it's fantastic journalistic work. There's limits there, but they have to talk about, they have to make their research, they have to work about, they have to decide what it's about value. And in a community radio, it's the same. And in our Mischpoke radio, it's the same. It's about value. If one person creates a nice, special music offer for a very special audience, nice. And this is the internet radio. By the way, there was a research last year for a very well frequented FM radio. We wanted to know how much online listeners and so on. And it was 0.05% listening online radio in comparison to FM. If FM radio will become a digital radio, fine, everybody can listen to it, hopefully. That's another thing. But on the other hand, FM radio could also be a UNESCO heritage for communities and giving to them as a very nice and cheap way to communicate their issues and to make decisions.
In fact, that's what Ralf said at the end about digital, is what is happening with a lot of FM radio stations in Europe. They are all now being compelled to switch to digital. Different countries are going at different speeds towards digitization. Some countries are actively resisting in Europe. But switching from analog to digital seems to be the one big process that you see with FM radios. I think in Germany also, they are beginning to switch over, but there are many analog community radio stations still. And in India, we are a long way away from digitizing community radio at least. Yeah. So I think we are about time to close this session, unless there's any last compelling thing anybody wants to say. Can you take one quick thing?
You would like to ask?
Yeah.
A brief question, brief
Very, very good.
What is the future of community radio stations in India? Not institutions run community radio stations, but English Radio in Budapest, which is run by not-for-profit organization, who are independent organizations who can run radio stations.
Pavarala was very, very tough. I don't think there is immediately any future for community radio in India beyond the institutional spaces they currently occupy. Educational institutions, NGOs, community-based organizations. Beyond that, at least in this sort of a political climate, it's going to be very difficult to think of the kind of agencies that you are thinking of activist groups, I don't know, trade unions, cooperatives, and so on, to be able to have community radios. Maybe in the distant future, but not immediately.